It's about 2:30 in the afternoon on my first day. We're now in Tennessee, just about a 20-minute drive from the Chickamauga battlefield to be able to get here to downtown Chattanooga. And the first thing you notice when you arrive in town is that it is just dominated. The skyline is dominated by Missionary Ridge and Lookout Mountain. It's just impossible to miss those mountains when you see them. And boy, I'm excited to go up Lookout Mountain because it just looks enormous, and I don't know how they did it. But we are headed now to the National Medal of Honor Heritage Center, which is a brand new museum that just looks phenomenal, and I'm excited to dive into it. Let's go. So this first room that you enter gives some of the history of military honors in the United States, and begins with the Fidelity Medallion and then George Washington's Badge of Military Merit, which eventually became the Purple Heart, but was originally given for meritorious service during the Revolutionary War. You can see here his Washington Military Merit Badge next to the Purple Heart. And then there was the Certificate of Merit, which was awarded beginning in March of 1847, given out to men who served during the war with Mexico, non-commissioned officers. Of course, what we know today as the Medal of Honor, which is the highest award for valor in action that can be given to a soldier, to a member of the military, was originally authorized during the American Civil War, and the first men to receive that award were Andrew's Raiders, which is remembered here in Chattanooga because Chattanooga has close association with those events, which began down near Atlanta. And we'll see a little bit later a lot more about Andrew's Raiders. This is a replica of the original Army and Navy Medals of Honor that were given out during the American Civil War, and they're actually very similar to the GAR, Grand Army of the Republic Medal that was given. So often in pictures you'll see that, and it can be confusing because men were wearing their GAR medals. Now this is really cool because this is an interactive screen. It's a huge screen. It's got to be at least 100-inch screen, and you can scroll around the entire globe and find every action for which a Medal of Honor was awarded by location. And you can click on any one of these and you'll see a photo of the man if they have one, where and when it happened, what unit he was a part of, where he's from, and when he was born if they know, and then the citation for his Medal of Honor. And you can do that for absolutely any of these. It's really cool to kind of just scroll around. I'm looking at some of the Civil War Medals of Honor. There was Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain. There's Alonzo Cushing, who was just recently awarded his Medal of Honor for actions during Pickett's charge at Gettysburg, in which he was killed. And here's just a little more of the history of the Medal of Honor. The history behind how it was awarded and how kind of the criteria was changed over time for how the medal was given out. So once you leave that initial interactive room that has the different screens that you can touch and explore, you're taken into a small theater where you get to watch a short film about the history of the Medal of Honor, why they've chosen to create this facility to honor it, narrated by Dennis Quaid. It's really well done.
The Medal of Honor, the nation's highest military decoration for valor. An award bestowed on those individuals who went above and beyond the call of duty.
So once you leave the theater, you're greeted with this beautiful, huge exhibit to the Andrews Raiders, who were the first men to receive the Medal of Honor. This was a group of men, mostly Ohio soldiers, a couple of civilians, who went in civilian clothing behind enemy lines, took a train locomotive from Marietta, Georgia, outside of Atlanta, and took it toward Chattanooga in an effort to tear up railroad tracks and bridges along the way. Many of the men were captured, some were executed, But the members of the military were the very first men to receive the Medal of Honor. Jacob Wilson Parrott, who you see in a display here in just a minute, is actually the first man awarded the Medal of Honor. He was beaten 110 times by the Confederates in an effort to get him to talk, but he never did. Some of them were exchanged, and eventually Parrott was commissioned a first lieutenant toward the end of the war. Now, to this date, the only woman to ever receive the Medal of Honor is Mary Edwards Walker, who actually eventually became a doctor but was instrumental in treating the wounded soldiers during the war. Now, the Medal of Honor was not always given for bravery in action. It could be given for various meritorious service during the war. It was eventually taken away from her and 900 others, but in 1977 her medal was restored, and so to this day she is the only female recipient of the Medal of Honor. This is Sergeant George Jordan from Tennessee, who received the Medal of Honor for actions in 1880 at the Battle of Tularosa and also at Carrizo Canyon in 1881, when he led a group of buffalo soldiers from the 9th U.S. Cavalry against a far superior Native American force in these two different battles. When one thinks of World War I and the Medal of Honor, it's hard not to think about Alvin York of Tennessee, who is well known for his gallantry during the battle in the Argonne in October of 1918. We've done videos about his actions before, and it's a beautiful tribute to him. You'll notice that many of the displays here in the Medal of Honor Heritage Center are for people who have some connection to Tennessee, whether it's someone who performed their actions in Tennessee, or they lived in Tennessee at some point, or they were born here. Desmond Doss is actually from Virginia, but he lived most of his post-war life here in Chattanooga. If you've seen the film Hacksaw Ridge, which is fantastic and I highly recommend it, then you're familiar with his story. The United States Army says that he saved, as a combat medic, saved the lives of perhaps 100 men. Desmond said it was more like 50, and so in the Medal of Honor citation, they split the difference and made it 75. All right, I'm having a serious, geeked out history moment right here, because right here is Desmond Doss's Medal of Honor. And this is his uniform. It's right here. Let's check it out. Only twice in American history have a father and son received the Medal of Honor. The first to do it were Arthur MacArthur, who was a young, I think 19 or 20-year-old colonel in a Wisconsin regiment who led an attack here in Chattanooga in 1863 during the American Civil War. Later on, his son, General Douglas MacArthur, would be awarded the Medal of Honor for actions during the Second World War. The other pair are Theodore Roosevelt and his son, Theodore Roosevelt Jr. His son actually received his medal first for actions in World War II, and it was only posthumously in, I think, the Bill Clinton administration that Theodore Roosevelt, the President Roosevelt, was given a Medal of Honor for his actions at San Juan Hill during the Spanish-American War.
I'd already told my men there was a possibility that they could bring a tank up. Sure enough, I heard this rumbling coming. It was tanks.
Charles Coolidge is a well-known Medal of Honor recipient here in Chattanooga. In fact, this Medal of Honor Heritage Center is named in his honor. He actually passed away just a few weeks before I visited the museum. I saw his grave, unfortunately didn't remember to record and talk about it, in the Chattanooga National Cemetery. He's buried very near to Desmond Doss. I would highly recommend that you look into his story, for which he received the Medal of Honor in October of 1944. Wow. I want to just take a few minutes to kind of decompress from all of that. If you have any interest in history, if you have any love for your country at all, as an American, or whatever country you might be a part of, it's impossible to not be inspired by that museum. That was so worth my time. I'm so glad I came. They focus pretty heavily on the men from Tennessee, and that's who many of the exhibits are for. But there's some incredible stories from Tennessee. I mean, we're talking about Desmond Doss, we're talking about Alvin York, we're talking about Kyle Carpenter in a more recent way. We're talking about what happened with the Andrews Raiders. We're talking about Arthur MacArthur, the father of Douglas MacArthur. Just incredible stories, and it's so well done. It's a modern museum with all the great interactive things that you can kind of touch and play with and learn, and you could just spend hours in there. It's not a very big museum. You could go through it pretty fast. There's so much to do. If you're ever in Chattanooga, take the time. The downtown area where the museum is beautiful. There's a lot to see and do for the whole family. Bring your family here if you get a chance. I'm going to bring mine someday. Now it's time to head over to the National Cemetery.